Hello, my name is Dr. Abhishek Tiwari, and today we are going to discuss some cases of cardiac tumors. We are mainly going to discuss about metastatic cardiac tumors, papillary fibroelastoma, atrial myxoma, and angiosarcoma. Before jumping into individual cases, I'll give you a brief discussion. Most common cardiac tumors are metastatic, and they commonly arise from melanoma, thymoma, germ cell tumor, or lung or gastrointestinal or hematological malignancies. Primary cardiac tumors are very rare and mostly benign, and most common primary cardiac tumor is atrial myxoma in adult. In children, rhabdomyoma is most common benign primary cardiac tumor. Most common primary malignant cardiac tumor is angiosarcoma, and in children, rhabdomyosarcoma is most common primary malignant tumor. Let's jump to cardiac metastasis cases. So this is a case of a 50-year-old male. He had history of 7 year of malignant melanoma. He had 4 recurrences and 4 surgical resection was already done. He was on interferon chemotherapy. He presented with follow-up PET scan report, and in this report a mass in the right atrium was seen, as you can see here. This mass was suspected to be a metastatic cardiac tumor of malignant melanoma. Since this mass was obstructing the blood flow, it was surgically excised. So, cardiac metastases are usually silent and detected on autopsy. Some may cause flow obstruction and some may cause pericardial effusion, leading to chest pain, dyspnea, and syncope. So, the treatment of cardiac metastasis is always palliative. If there is flow obstruction, we can do surgery to remove the mass, and if there is pericardial effusion, we, we do pericardiocentesis. And as discussed earlier, malignant melanoma and thymoma have higher tendency for cardiac metastasis. But since lung and gastrointestinal and hematological malignancies are far common than malignant melanoma, that's why uh, they are the most common primary source of cardiac metastasis. Now let's discuss about atrial myxoma. So this is case of a 69-year-old female. She presented with progressive dyspnea and chest pain and tachycardia. ECG was done, atrial fibrillation was seen, echo was done, and in echocardiography, a large mass was seen lying in the left atrium and attached with stalk to the fossa ovalis. This was typical atrial myxoma. So it was surgically resected and patient was put on anticoagulant. So atrial myxoma, they usually originate at fossa ovalis and protrude into the left atrium. Patients are usually old. Symptoms are due to mass effect or due to interleukin production. Mass effect leads to flow obstruction, leading to dyspnea or syncope or thromboembolism, and myxoma produces large amount of interleukins that can cause fever, malaise, and weight loss. Sometimes they are incidentally found on echo, and atrial fibrillation may develop due to stretching of the left atrium, as was seen in our case. In physical examination, one can hear diastolic murmur mimicking mitral stenosis, but this murmur changes with change in the body posture. One can also hear tumor plop. Regarding treatment, all cases of atrial myxoma should be surgically resected because of high risk of stroke. Let's discuss about Carney complex. So if there is multiple myxoma or myxoma at unusual location or patient is very young, then one should suspect Carney complex, which is associated with various skin lesions like lentigens, that is liver spots, nevi, cutaneous myxoma, or ephelites, freckles. There are two patterns, lamb and name pattern. Lamb is short form of lentigens, atrial myxoma, and blue nevi. In this picture, you can see the blue nevi on patient's lips. It can also occur on uh, genital mucosal surface. And here you can see freckles in this patient. So this skin changes and atrial myxoma, this occurs due to mutation in PRKAR vanazine, which is a tumor suppressor gene, and the inheritance pattern is autosomal dominant. Let's talk about papillary fibroelastoma. It usually occurs in 80s, lesions on aortic or mitral valve. So they are valvular tumor, and since they are valvular, they may dislodge and cause transient ischemic attack or stroke, or sometimes rarely coronary embolization leading to myocardial infarction may also occur. Surgical removal is necessary only when symptomatic or high risk of embolization, or patient is undergoing cardiac surgery or stroke has occurred. Otherwise, these are left as it is. So this is case of 66-year-old male. He had history of multivessel coronary artery disease, and despite a medical treatment, he had class 3 angina. So that's why coronary artery bypass grafting was planned. So before the CABG procedure, transesophageal echocardiography was done, and look at a mass right above aortic valve. This mass was seen and clinically diagnosed as papillary fibroelastoma, and it was planned that this tumor should be resected during the CAPG procedure itself. And here you can see during the CAPG procedure, aortotomy was performed, and the mass was resected. Biopsy proved papillary fibroelastoma. Let's talk about angiosarcoma. So angiosarcoma are most common primary malignant tumor of heart in adult. In children, rhabdomyosarcoma is most common primary malignant tumor of heart. These tumors are highly vascular. They occur in right atrium and there is no peduncle or shock, and prognosis is very poor, as you will see in the following case discussion. So this is case of 52-year-old female. She presented with dry cough and progressive dyspnea. Echocardiography was done and a large pericardial effusion was seen. And also there was a large mass seen in the right atrium. To delineate further, CT scan was done and CT scan clearly showed a large mass in the right atrium, and this mass was adhered with the pericardium. A PET CT was done and it was consistent with the CT finding and echocardiography finding. So exploratory thoracotomy was planned and mass was seen in the left atrium during the procedure. It was adhered to the pericardium and it was surgically unresectable. So only biopsy was taken, which proved to be angiosarcoma. Patient was started on chemotherapy with docetaxel and bevacizumab, but response was not adequate, and unfortunately patient died 10 months later due to respiratory failure. So as you can understand that this tumor is highly unresectable and usually associated with poor prognosis. So this conclude our discussion.